Hi, everyone. You're here with Jen Drakes for another live moment. And here's something I got, I was given this interesting question, and I thought it was important to discuss and to bring into the general awareness of most because um, it's certainly something on my journey that I had to learn and recognize and look to change, um, and do it intentionally. Make sure the change is one that I truly wanted and that it was intentional. So here's the question that started this whole thing: why is choosing you a radical transformation? Why is that? And I love the question, and I gave it some thought because I wanted to, in my usual way, be very transparent and truthful about the answer. So here's where I landed. Choosing you is radical, um, because the world has simply conditioned us not to do so. So when you m- make a choice to shift something that is completely opposing to what you consider to be your normal place, your normal comfort zone, it can be considered a radical choice. And because of it, especially when it comes to choosing yourself, it breeds radical transformation. And when I say we've never been conditioned or taught how to do this, think about it. From a young age, we're taught to please others before we express ourselves. We're taught to perform before we rest. So that's how we get the workaholics and the driven and the ambitious and whatever word you want to put against the performance, the acting, the facades, the mask. All of these I've talked about before. But we're taught to do that before we pause and rest and regenerate and relax and all of these other things. And we're also taught to serve before we even understand ourselves. Just go out and do something. Um, pick, rather than what you are interested in, pick something that will bring in a lot of money perceived. Of course, this is all perceived, rather than fulfill that innate talent that you have and that you do without even thinking and that you make interesting because it's innate. And we're also taught to earn worthiness simply by doing, achieving, and the big one, sacrificing. So when you now pivot and you make a choice for yourself, you choose yourself, you choose your truth, you choose your peace, you choose your joy, you're breaking a lot of things. You're breaking a mold, and it's probably a legacy mold of overgiving, self abandonment, and external validation. Something we're always seeking when we're in that space. We check in on others to see, did we make the right decision? We check in on others to see, do I look appropriate? We check in on others to see, how did I do? And we're always seeking that validation. And making a choice for yourself is not just a personal decision. I consider it a, a personal revolution. And that's the word I choose to use. It's a personal revolution. Because in making that choice and making that decision, right, you are rewriting if not all, most of your limiting beliefs. You're modeling wholeness to your kids and your community, to your friends and your family. You're now modeling a behavior that they silently admire, but would not have necessarily directed you into. And you're unplugging from just this burnout culture that we're in that seems to be being pushed as the norm. And you're actually stepping into what I call aligned living, what I call living wealthy, what I call resetting, right? Renewing, reclaiming the version of you that has been left on the back burner, that has been pushed aside, that you know is there, that you know can do so much more. You are literally stepping into that and into a pathway that will have you exploring all of that in a very beautiful way. What I need to really, really get across to you is that this is not a selfish act. It's actually a sacred one. It's a sacred one. And the reason I use the word sacred is because it's a decision that honors you. That is a decision that silently says, you matter. And you do matter. And you are worth more. And when you get to actually make that choice and declare it in such a revolutionary, way, that should be celebrated. It should be celebrated. It should be honored. And it is sacred. And that's why reboot doesn't just guide change, it really guides a homecoming, it guides an emergence, it guides a return to you. It guides you to a point before the noise started, before the roles you play got defined and got stuck on you, before you could choose them yourself, and before the world convinced you otherwise. Reboot returns you to the you that you know deep, deep, deep in within is the real you. It returns you to the path you needed to be on, you should have been on. And you're saying, I matter and I want to explore that pathway of me. And that's why it's radical. That's why choosing you is radical. Because once you choose you, everything, everything begins to shift. Think about that. I've got goosebumps just talking about it. And having made that choice myself, I can tell you there's something so beautiful on the other side. And I invite you to join me in Reboot. See you on the inside. And until next time.